Hi, another messy family drama with the main character needing to step up for herself, which she does. Let's listen.
My 12-year-old showed up dressed for her cousin's birthday, then got left behind to babysit two little kids for 12 hours while everyone else went to a luxury spa. Family helps family, my mom said. The next morning, I did this, and they regretted everything. I pulled up to my sister Erica's house a little after 8 that night, expecting the usual end-of-party mess, and a loud recap from the car before I even got the doors locked. Instead, the place looked dead. The front lights were on, but the driveway was half empty. No balloons were tied to the mailbox. No paper plates sat on the porch rail, and there wasn't a single kid voice coming through the screen door. I remember sitting there with my hand still on the steering wheel, trying to figure out why the quiet bothered me so fast. Then the door opened, and my daughter Abigail walked out. Abigail is 12, and when I dropped her off a little after 8 that morning, she had been excited in that careful preteen way, pretending not to be excited while checking her outfit twice. Now her nice blouse was wrinkled. Her hair was falling out of the clip she'd put in herself, and she looked like she had just finished a shift somewhere. Not crying, not angry, just flat. She slid into the back seat with her gift bag empty. She'd at least managed to hand Valentina the present before they all disappeared for the spa, and her shoulders down. I didn't know the details yet. I only knew her day had gone wrong. Usually, after a long day with her cousin Valentina, Abigail would start talking before I made it to the stop sign. She would tell me who said what, which cake flavor was best, whether the decorations looked childish, and what she and Valentina had decided about matching bracelets or whatever new thing mattered that week. That night she buckled in, pulled the strap across her chest, and leaned her head against the window like she wanted to make herself smaller. I kept my voice light because at first I thought maybe the girls had argued. I asked how the birthday went. "Fine," she said. I asked if they ended up doing the spa plan Erica had mentioned. "Kind of." I asked if Grandma and Grandpa had stayed the whole time. "For a while." Every answer came back short and careful, like she was stepping around something. I glanced at her in the mirror and saw that look kids get when they are trying to decide whether they are allowed to think something was unfair. So I tried one more question, softer than the others. "Baby, what actually happened today?" Abigail looked down at her hands for a second, then out the window. "It wasn't really a birthday party," she said. That was when I started paying attention. I asked what she meant, and Abigail answered in the same calm tone she used when she was reading out school instructions. "Valentina wasn't there for most of it." I turned halfway at a red light because the sentence made no sense. Valentina is Erica's oldest, 13 that day, and the entire reason Abigail had gone over there was to celebrate with her. "What do you mean she wasn't there?" I asked. Abigail told me Valentina had gone to a luxury spa with Erica, my parents, and two older girls from Erica's neighborhood. They had robes and facials and lunch and the whole thing. "They left not long after I got there," Abigail said. For a second, I honestly thought I had misunderstood her. I asked if the spa was later, after a party at the house. She shook her head. I asked whether Valentina came back early and the girls still had cake together. "No, they didn't get back until a little before you came." I felt that ugly pause in my chest where the facts rearranged themselves into something worse. Abigail had been invited to a birthday, dressed for a birthday, and dropped into a house where the actual birthday celebration took place somewhere else. It wasn't that she had missed the best part. The best part had never been meant for her. I still tried to force it into a better shape. I asked whether another adult had stayed with the boys. Ben is 6, Sam is 4, and there is a big difference between helping with cousins for an hour and being the person responsible for 2 little kids all day. Abigail said no, not really. Grandma had been there at first, and Grandpa was in and out while everyone was getting ready. Then they left too. "Who was with you after that?" I asked. Abigail stared at the passing streetlights and said, "Just me and the boys." I asked whether Erica had told her beforehand. She said they told her once she was already there that she'd be such a big help. They said she was good with younger kids because of her brother Noah. They said she was the most responsible one. I could hear every adult compliment wrapped around the same ugly thing. Nobody had forgotten Abigail. Nobody had run out of options at the last minute. They had needed childcare, realized I was unavailable, and decided my daughter would do. A birthday invitation had been used like bait. By the time I pulled into our neighborhood, the shape of it was clear. Abigail had not been included in the celebration. She had been assigned a job. Once I understood that, the questions changed. I stopped asking about cake and started asking what the day actually looked like. Who fed Ben and Sam lunch? Abigail did. Who got them snacks? Abigail did. Who cleaned up when Sam spilled juice? I did. Who broke up the fight over the tablet? I took it away. She told me she microwaved nuggets, opened yogurt pouches, found wipes, changed the TV, and by dinner time was digging through Erica's freezer trying to figure out what 2 overtired little boys would actually eat, all while keeping the back door locked because she was scared Sam would wander outside. By dinner time, the boys were loud and tired, and she was counting the clock because no one had told her when anybody was coming back or even checked on her properly. The more she explained it, the less it sounded like helping, and the more it sounded like labor. She had shown up in nice shoes and spent the whole day doing unpaid childcare while the adults were off at the spa. Abigail said it in that obedient tone that made it worse, as if she were listing chores she had correctly completed. I kept one hand on the wheel and the other flat on my leg so she wouldn't see it shake. I was done being polite. The part that really got me was that Abigail still wanted to protect them. She said maybe the spa was more for older people. She said maybe Erica thought Abigail would have more fun being useful than sitting around. She said Grandma told her, "You're the one we can trust." I asked whether she had wanted to stay with the boys, and she gave me the kind of answer that tells you everything by avoiding the point. "I didn't want to be rude." That sentence hit me harder than anything else. She is 12. She should not have to translate exploitation into maturity because adults she loves told her being easy to use was a compliment. I told her, very clearly, being helpful is good. Being tricked into working is not the same thing. She looked at me like she had been waiting to find out what this day was allowed to mean. "I thought maybe I was being dramatic," she said. I told her she was not dramatic, difficult, or wrong. When we got home, Daniel took one look at my face and asked what happened. I told him to give me 5 minutes because first I needed the truth from the adults who thought this was normal. After Abigail showered and Daniel got Noah into pajamas, I called Erica from the kitchen. I expected an awkward explanation, maybe some excuse about a last-minute mix-up. What I got was irritation. "She was safe," Erica said before I finished my second sentence. "And she's great with the boys." I said Abigail is 12. I said she went there for Valentina's birthday, not for a babysitting shift. Erica said I was making it sound ugly on purpose. I asked whether she had gotten my permission. Silence for half a second. Then, "I knew you'd turn it into a thing." That answer told me plenty. I told her she had no right to dump a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old on my child for an entire day. Erica said it was only for a day. Like that helped. Then my mother called in on three-way because Erica had already texted her. My mother didn't ask how Abigail felt. She said, "Megan, family helps family." Erica repeated it right after her. Family helps family. Neither of them sounded ashamed. Neither of them apologized even once. That was the moment I knew this was bigger than one bad day. The thing is, none of this started with Abigail. For years, the person doing the extra childcare had been me. Erica has 3 kids, my niece Valentina, then Ben and Sam. And when the boys were younger, helping out once in a while felt normal. She had a dentist appointment. Her husband was traveling. One of the boys had a preschool half day, and she needed coverage for 2 hours. I love my nieces and nephews, and at first I said yes without even thinking about it. I'd pick the boys up, bring them to our house, set out crackers and apple slices, and let Noah build block towers with them while I started dinner. Erica would arrive later with a rushed thank you and a story about how crazy her day had been. It all sounded temporary, reasonable, manageable, but then, just this once, started repeating itself. Saturdays, teacher work days, summer afternoons, last-minute evenings when she just needed a break. I didn't notice how much of my week it was taking until Daniel started asking which plans were actually ours and which ones belonged to Erica by default. By then, what had once felt generous had quietly become expected. That was the original arrangement, whether anyone admitted it or not. The pattern worked because it never arrived like one giant demand. It came in ordinary little pieces that were easy to excuse in the moment. Erica would text at 8 in the morning, "Can you take the boys for a bit?" Then at noon it would become, "Actually, I'm running behind. Can you keep them through lunch?" By 3, she might call and say something else had come up and she'd need another hour. If I hesitated, my mother would appear from the side like a stage manager, reminding me that Erica was overwhelmed and that sisters are supposed to help each other. Nobody said, "We are building our weekends around your unpaid labor now." They didn't have to. The system stayed in place because every individual request was small enough to sound petty if I objected. I hate conflict. I really do. So I would move things around, cancel errands, promise Noah we'd go somewhere later, and tell myself I was keeping the peace. The problem with that kind of peace is that it teaches people there is no cost to taking from you. After a while, Erica stopped asking like it was a favor. She started asking like I was the backup plan she already had in place. What made it worse was that the help never really moved both ways. Erica always had a reason she needed coverage, a break, an extra pair of hands, or a kid-free afternoon. I was expected to be flexible because I was better at this stuff, which was family language for "you complain less." When I tried to point out that I also had a house, a husband, a son, a daughter, and a job, the answer was always some version of "you're stronger, you're calmer, you can handle more." That sounds flattering until you notice who benefits from it. There were times I asked Erica for something small, like picking Abigail up after practice because Noah had a late appointment, and somehow she was suddenly unavailable. My mother would still call me the reliable one, as if reliability were a personality trait instead of unpaid availability. I knew the arrangement wasn't equal. I knew it before Valentina's birthday. I just kept telling myself it wasn't worth a fight, because the boys were little and because family drama spreads through our relatives faster than a weather alert. Looking back, that was the opening they used. Every time I said yes to avoid a problem, I made it easier for them to hand me the next one. The birthday weekend mattered because it was one of the rare times I truly couldn't step in myself. Noah, my younger son, had a full-day baseball clinic 2 towns over, and Daniel was covering an early shift that morning. I had already paid for it, already promised Noah I'd be there, and already built the whole Saturday around drop-off, lunch, and pickup. When Erica first started hinting that she might need help with Ben and Sam during Valentina's birthday plans, I told her no right away. Not maybe. Not later. No, she didn't like it, but she didn't fight me on the phone. Instead, she changed tactics. A day later, Erica told Abigail, and then repeated to me, that she should still come celebrate with Valentina because it would be a cousin day. She sold it like a treat. Abigail was thrilled because 13 is the age when older cousins start feeling like access to another world. Erica told me the girls would do cake, face masks, movies, the usual birthday stuff at the house. Nothing in that conversation sounded like, "We're replacing you with your child," but that's exactly what happened. Once they realized I was unavailable, they didn't solve their own childcare problem. They just looked one step down the line and decided my daughter would do. By the end of that night, after the phone call and after Abigail went to bed, I sat at the kitchen table and finally saw the whole thing clearly. This wasn't just about one awful birthday. It was about years of one-sided help that had become so normal to Erica, my mother, and even my grandparents that they no longer saw a line between asking and taking. The moment I couldn't absorb the burden myself, they moved it on to Abigail without even asking permission, which meant they did not view the burden as mine to choose anymore. They viewed it as something my household owed them. Daniel sat across from me while I said that out loud, and he nodded once like he had been waiting for me to get there on my own. "They didn't miss you," he said. "They replaced you." That was exactly it. The birthday wasn't a misunderstanding. It was the cleanest proof I had ever gotten of the real family system. I was supposed to be available, and if I wasn't, my daughter would do. I went to bed angry, but it was no longer scattered anger. It had shape. By morning, I knew exactly what I was going to change. I woke up before everybody else the next morning, made coffee, and opened my calendar while the house was still quiet. That helped more than anything. Anger is easy for people like Erica to dismiss as drama. A canceled schedule is harder to argue with. We had a shared family calendar for kid pickups, birthdays, and the babysitting dates Erica liked to lock in weeks ahead. I opened every upcoming slot with my name on it and deleted it. 3 Saturdays, a Thursday afternoon, 2 evening pickups during spring break. Then I sent Erica one text, short enough that she couldn't pretend to misunderstand it. After what happened to Abigail yesterday, I will not be babysitting for you again. I have canceled every upcoming date on the calendar. Please make other arrangements. Then I sent the same text to my mother because I knew she would claim confusion later if I didn't. I did not add extra emotion. I just made the boundary visible, written, and immediate. When Daniel came into the kitchen, he read the text over my shoulder, kissed my head, and said, "Good." For the first time, the answer wasn't in my head. It was on the record. At first, Erica barely reacted, and that almost irritated me more than if she had started yelling. She sent back a thumbs-up emoji around noon, which told me she either hadn't read the message carefully or assumed I'd cool off by the time she actually needed me. The rest of the day, she posted normal family photos like nothing had changed. Valentina with a shopping bag, my mother in somebody's kitchen, one of those captions about busy but blessed that somehow made me angrier than an insult would have. The silence around the actual issue was revealing. If she had believed I meant it, she would have scrambled immediately. Instead, she acted like my text was a mood, not a decision. That told me how thoroughly the old system had trained her. In Erica's mind, I was still the person who might say no in the morning and show up by afternoon because saying no had always been negotiable before. I let the silence sit. I didn't send follow-up messages. I didn't argue under her posts. I didn't call our mother back. If the point was going to land, it would land the first time she needed me and found empty space instead. I had finally stopped cushioning the consequences. Now she was going to feel them herself. That first missed slot came 4 days later. Erica had me down to watch Ben and Sam from noon to 5, while she took Valentina shopping for birthday returns and just mom and daughter time. At 11:42, my phone lit up. "Where are you?" "No hello?" No, did something happen? Just the tone of someone tracking a late employee. I wrote back, "I told you I am not babysitting anymore." A minute later, she called. "Megan, this is ridiculous," she started. "We're waiting on you." I said, "You shouldn't be waiting on me. I told you 4 days ago to make other arrangements." She jumped straight to today's inconvenience. Valentina was ready, the boys were fussy, their lunch reservation would be missed, and she had planned this for weeks. Not once did she say, "You're right. I crossed a line with Abigail." The whole call was about the problem she was having right now. That was the clearest proof that she still did not understand the change. She thought the issue was scheduling. I knew the issue was entitlement and replacement. I kept my voice even. She got louder. I did not. That mattered. She heard only a delay, not a boundary. When she realized I wasn't scrambling to fix it, Erica switched to guilt fast. She said I was selfish. She said this was cruel to Valentina, who had nothing to do with adult disagreements. Which was rich considering Valentina had enjoyed her spa day while Abigail worked at the house. Erica said I couldn't do this without warning. I reminded her that I had warned her in writing and removed every date from the shared calendar where she could literally see them disappear. She ignored that and kept listing reasons her outing mattered. She needed to exchange items before the return window closed. She'd promised Valentina lunch. She desperately needed one nice day without the boys hanging on her. Every argument was really the same one. Her plans were important enough that someone else should absorb the childcare. "Then hire someone," I said. She gave a short laugh like I had suggested a private jet. "Why should I pay somebody when you're just making a point?" She snapped. There it was. Not how do we fix this? Just why should she have to spend money now that my free labor had stopped? The boys started whining in the background, and her voice sharpened. She still wasn't hearing no, she was hearing not yet. I didn't take the bait. I told her the answer was no today, no next weekend, and no going forward. I said what happened to Abigail changed things permanently. Erica kept trying to drag me back into the old language, talking over me, asking how I could do this to family, how I could sit there while she struggled over one mistake. Then she used the line again, the family line, like it was a magic key. "Family helps family, Megan." Usually that sentence had been followed by me explaining myself, softening, offering alternatives, trying to prove I was still good. This time I finally heard it for what it was in our family. One person gives, another person takes, and the taker calls it love. I said, "Family doesn't trick a 12-year-old into 12 hours of childcare." Then I ended the call. No speech, no second round. I just hung up. My hands were steady when I set the phone down, which surprised me. Daniel, who had heard enough from the next room to understand, looked over and asked, "Done?" I said, "With that conversation, yes." It was the first time I had refused not only the request, but the script around the request. And once I did that, the whole thing sounded cheap. What kept the tension high over the next few days was that Erica still obviously thought this was temporary. Angry, yes. Offended, absolutely. But not truly worried. She texted less like someone responding to a final boundary and more like someone testing how long a strike would last. Are you still being like this? Then, need an answer for next Thursday. Then, Mom says you're overreacting. I didn't engage beyond repeating the same line once. I am not babysitting anymore. The repetition was the point. Meanwhile, I could feel the old pressure system warming up around us. My mother stopped liking my messages in the family chat. My grandmother sent me a passive-aggressive thumbs up on a school photo of Noah. Little things, but familiar things. I knew what came next because I had lived in this family my entire life. Erica would make herself the victim, simplify the story until it sounded harmless, and let the rest of them push on me from the sides until I gave in just to make the noise stop. The difference this time was that I knew something she didn't. She still believed persistence would wear me down because it always had before. I had finally crossed the part where that was true. The pattern was broken. She just hadn't figured it out yet. After that first missed babysitting slot, the pressure campaign started almost immediately, and it moved faster than the facts. My Aunt Leslie texted first. Hope you and Erica can work this out. The boys need stability. Then my uncle sent some version of, don't let pride hurt the children. A cousin I barely talked to messaged me as if I had suddenly abandoned family for no reason. Nobody asked what had happened to Abigail. Nobody asked whether a 12-year-old had been left in charge of 2 small kids for an entire day under false pretenses. They had clearly gotten the cleaned-up version, where Erica had one rough day and I had chosen to punish her. The second I stopped being useful, I became the problem. I answered almost none of them. The few I did reply to got one sentence. Erica tricked Abigail into babysitting Ben and Sam alone for 12 hours, while the adults went to a spa. After that, I will not be providing childcare. Some people stopped responding. A couple changed the subject, which told me everything. It wasn't that they didn't understand. It was that the old arrangement had been convenient for everyone around Erica, too. Then my mother called, and that one mattered more because she knew the full story and still chose the same side. She started in the measured tone she uses when she wants to sound like the reasonable one. Megan, this has gone far enough, she said. One bad decision should not blow up an entire family system. I actually laughed once, quietly, because she had said the quiet part out loud. An entire family system. That was exactly what I was refusing. I asked, did you once ask Abigail if she wanted to spend Valentina's birthday babysitting? My mother ignored the question. She said Erica was overwhelmed, the boys adore Abigail, no real harm had been done, and I was making everything bigger than it needed to be. I told her the harm was that adults lied to my daughter, used her labor, and expected gratitude afterward. My mother sighed like I was exhausting. You always take things so literally, she said. In that moment, I stopped seeing her as a neutral person trying to make peace. She was not caught in the middle. She had picked the side that kept her own life easier. Once I saw that, the conversation got simple. I told her if protecting Abigail looked like overreacting, she would have to live with that. After that, Erica changed tactics again. Since moral pressure wasn't getting me back fast enough, she started sending proof of every inconvenience my no created, like I was supposed to reimburse her for losing access to me. One day, it was a screenshot of a canceled hair appointment with, "Thanks for this." Another day, it was a photo of a babysitter invoice with 3 question marks under the total. Then came a text about missing lunch with friends because some people can't let things go. A week later, she sent, Valentina had to help with the boys tonight because of you. That one made me set my phone down and walk away for a minute. I did not answer. She kept going. Missed school event, lost concert tickets, extra aftercare cost. She documented each consequence like a bill collector, hoping I would feel responsible enough to step back into the role just to stop the messages. Daniel finally asked why I was still reading them at all, and he wasn't wrong. But part of me needed the record. Every screenshot proved the same point. Erica had built entire parts of her life on the assumption that my time belonged to her. Now that it didn't, she was shocked by the price of replacing it. The real test came when Erica had something expensive on the line. She and her husband had booked an overnight resort package months earlier. Massage, dinner, hotel, the whole polished thing she loves to post about later like it happened effortlessly. 3 days before it, she called me instead of texting, which already told me she wanted leverage. "I'm giving you a chance to fix this," she said. "Not talk. Not apologize. Fix this." She said the reservation was non-refundable, the boys would be impossible with a sitter overnight, and surely I didn't expect her to eat that much money over a misunderstanding. I said yes. Actually, I did. Figure it out. She went cold. "You are doing this on purpose now," she said. "I am making you handle the consequences of your choices," I answered. That evening, Abigail found me folding laundry and asked whether Aunt Erica was still mad. I told her yes, probably. Then I told her something I wished someone had heard younger. When people are used to your yes, your no sounds cruel to them even when it's healthy, Abigail nodded slowly. So if somebody gets upset when I say no, that doesn't mean I'm wrong? Exactly, I said. On the morning of their resort booking, the doorbell rang at 8:17. I was still in pajama pants, pouring cereal for Noah, and Daniel was upstairs shaving. When I opened the door, Ben and Sam were standing on the porch with little backpacks and sleepy faces. No adult. Just the boys and 2 overnight bags leaning against the railing. Sam looked up at me and said, "Mommy said we're staying here." My stomach went cold. I stepped outside, looked down the street and saw Erica's SUV turning the corner. She had already gone. She hadn't even tried to hand them over in person. She had counted on the fact that once the children were physically in front of me, I would do what I had always done and rearrange my life around her decision. That was the ugliest part. Not careless, intentional. I brought the boys inside because none of this was their fault, gave them breakfast, and called Erica twice. Straight to voicemail. Then I sent one text. "You abandoned your children on my doorstep without permission. If you do not return immediately, I am reporting this." After multiple calls, one clear text, and no response, I did exactly what I said I would do. I called the non-emergency police line and reported that my sister had abandoned her children on my doorstep without permission. They documented it, told me to keep the boys inside and safe, and CPS became involved from there. Not long after that, Erica finally called back furious because once authorities were involved, the resort weekend was over. She came back for the boys, but the report had already been made. After that, the pattern ended fast because it had finally hit a wall built somewhere other than my guilt. Our relationship was over. My mother sided with her so openly that I went low contact with her too. Some relatives tried one last round of, "You didn't have to take it that far," but I had stopped needing approval from people who benefited from my silence. The practical change in my life was immediate. My weekends opened up. I had time for Noah's games, coffee with friends, work I'd kept squeezing into the margins, and ordinary afternoons that belonged to my own family. Abigail changed too. Once the distance settled in, she stopped orbiting Valentina and started spending time with girls who actually liked her instead of just finding her useful. Looking back, I could see that Valentina had grown up inside the same entitled family dynamic the adults had built around her. The peace in our house afterward was so noticeable, it almost made me angry for my old self. We were not missing a family system. We were recovering from one. So tell me honestly, did I do the right thing by finally refusing to babysit and calling CPS when my sister dumped her children on my doorstep? Or should I have handled it differently because they were family? Answer in the comments and subscribe.
Hi, a lot of you have been asking me to narrate my own stories. That's something I've started doing on my other channel where I basically perform them in character. So if that's something for you, then there is a link in the description.